we're back to discuss Our Brand is Crisis, and like we said in the review, the whole plot is in the trailer. Most of the jokes are in the trailer. It has additional problems that I couldn't really talk about without going into spoilers. There are characters that are introduced and then used so sparingly and developed so poorly that they may as well have not been in it. Like, even the other people that are like running the campaign are barely characters in the movie. They're barely developed. They don't do a whole lot except, push back on her when the script calls for it. And the ending is just sort of, it's just lame. It's just like, so, I mean, the twist ending is that they get the guy elected and he goes right back and does what he told the people he was not going to do.
Which, if you've seen the trailer, you already know.
So, it's kind of like, well, are they going to have another, 15 minutes where he has a change of heart or they convince him to do something? It's like, no. But it prompts Sandra Bullock's character to stay and
do what exactly?
Do some kind of unification project. And that's another big problem that I have with this movie is it really treats the country like it's a third world country, and it makes it so that they can't solve their own problems. They need white people to come from America and solve their problems. And that's frustrating.
Yeah. One of the things that bothered me about it was you spend the entire movie thinking that Billy Bob Thornton's character is this abominable person. And then it comes out that he hasn't done anything. Every single thing that has happened, bad, crazy, or otherwise, has been of Sandra Bullock's own making.
Well, I mean, in the worst case example, yes. There are some things that he does in the campaign that are underhanded, but a lot of it's him taking his cues from her.
Yeah, I mean, she insinuates that he did some things.
Well, no, she created a fake organization, and then he started publishing things under that fake organization.
Yeah. But a lot of the other things that he supposedly did, there's no telling that he did it or not. It's insinuated, but you don't know.
I think it was pretty clear.
Sandra Bullock's character is a pretty terrible person.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the point of the movie. I think that's true.
And at the end is okay, I'm going to get out and do something. But the only thing that you know that she did is she's clearly talking to somebody in an interview.
Well, and they flash her title at the end.
Yeah, but there's no context given, so what does she do?
It's the white man's burden thing I was talking about. Yeah. She's the only one that can get all of the different, factions of the country to come together, and that's what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
Because the indigenous people aren't represented in government, and that's her new campaign is to try and fix all of that. But it's why is that her job? Why is that her problem?
I found the ending to be very confusing, I guess. I saw the title, but I think the people who made the movie expect the audience to infer way too much from that. There should have been a little bit more context given, I guess. In the interview, she explained what she's trying to do.
I think all that they give you as the title, and it's up to you to connect the dots and say, oh, she's staying there to help out as like a grassroots coordinator, because that's basically what her title is. But that's not a clean ending to her arc. There's certainly not a clean ending to the candidate's arc. And, you know, again, a bunch of people disappear. There's also a bunch of weird editing. Like, just from a technical standpoint that is, like, head-scratching. Like, there's a scene where they're all standing around a table, and one of the characters says something that, like, is, like, supposed to be, like, a sick burn against one of the other characters. And she turns around and starts to walk away, and you see her walk, like, 3 or 4 feet away from the table. And then it cuts immediately to this sort of side angle where 2 other characters are talking, but she's right back where she was, as if she never moved. And it's like, it's from cut to cut, she just warps back into place. It's like they didn't consider continuity, and that happens more than once. There's stuff going on where, or they're showing like a montage, and Sandra Bullock is in 2 places at once in the montage.
Yeah.
And eventually it catches up and explains to you what's going on. Like, it explains to you that this particular scene that they're cutting to happens in the future, or in the present, and the rest of this was going on in the past. But it's still really bizarre. And like, when he's getting elected, she's not with the campaign. She's like in a bar. And so they're editing between the campaign room when they're finding everything out and the bar where she's hanging out with all the people and drinking or whatever. And then they're editing in this other shot of her like wearing that mask in her room. And it's just really confusing. It's like, well, where is she? Like, and what's going on now? Like, how does this make sense? And then eventually it like comes to light that her wearing the mask was afterward. But it still makes for a very confusing movie.
Well, at the very beginning, they're framing her character without her being on screen, you know, during the dialogue between the 2 campaign people that bring her on.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about how she doesn't like being around people. She doesn't like being touched,
Which never goes anywhere.
Yeah, throughout the movie, she's constantly surrounding herself with people and shaking hands and all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, I wonder if they cut like 20 minutes from the movie, or cut some fairly major scenes for time, just to keep it from being even more disappointing when the ending is the ending.
Maybe.
Because it really seemed to me like they glossed over a bunch of stuff. And yeah, now you say it, like, yeah, they said that she doesn't, and maybe that's just supposed to be like, you know, one of the myths about her or something. But the fact that they bring it up and never mention it again is really weird. That whole first sequence where she gets to Bolivia and she has like altitude sickness, that's all just like, okay, I guess that's cute, supposedly. Can we move on from this?
Yeah, it was a very strange movie.
Yeah. And like the political stuff that she, you know, that her campaign does and that Billy Bob Thornton does, like stuff that they pretend to do as the other to manipulate people. I think all of that's supposed to come across as clever, but the movie, you know, you were saying you didn't think that they did enough to explain what she was doing at the end. I think that everything else was over-explained in the movie. Like, it was always clear to the audience who was doing what.
Yeah.
So,
another thing that bothered me, they have this character named LeBlanc, who is supposed to know every single thing about every single person.
Yeah, and they just waste that character.
And then it's revealed. She mentions to a character why Sandra Bullock's character doesn't like Billy Bob Thornton's character. If anybody should know the truth about that situation, it's LeBlanc. And come to find out that it's all lies. Sandra Bullock's character has absolutely no reason to hate Billy Bob Thornton's character.
Well, I mean, and that might be part of LeBlanc's job, is to mislead the campaign itself on her behalf. But because they don't develop her enough, we don't know that that's what it is. She's also the one that walks away from the table and then just, like, warps back into position.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it's reminiscent. It's not quite as egregious, but it's reminiscent of, like, in Space Mutiny, where this girl gets... There's a woman that gets killed in Space Mutiny, and then in the very next scene, she's back at her desk working in the background. And it's like, she recovered fast, but it's just a continuity mistake.
Also, what exactly is the point of Anthony Mackie's character?
What's the point of any of the campaign people? Like, really, all they're there to do is be on her side when they're supposed to and be against her when they're supposed to. And the candidate's just there to, like, disagree with everyone, or disagree with just her, or disagree with just the campaign. But, like, it's a ridiculous... It's a ridiculous waste of people. Like, there's a bunch of people in this movie, and they're talented actors, and they just don't have a character. Nothing's written for them.
Another scene that had really bad editing had to do with Anthony Mackie's character. At the very end, Sandra, when they're driving through the building rebellion, I guess, Anthony Mackie's character is looking at Sandra Bullock's character, and he gives her kind of a knowing nod, and she hands him that bowl and then gets out of the car. And she starts walking off, and he gets out of the car, and he's like, "Where are you going?" And then she looks at him, and he gives her the same knowing nod. "Tell me how that goes for you," and walks off. What? Like, that was one of the numerous problems with the end I had. Is like, why? Why did that entire sequence have to happen?
Yeah, I mean, to me it felt like they could have taken the three people from the campaign. That, like, there's the woman, there's the guy from *Halt and Catch Fire*, and there's the Falcon.
Yeah.
And they could have combined them all into one person, and it would have made just as much sense. In some cases, they could have just made that part of Billy Bob Thornton's character. Like, if he had been the one at the end to say, "Let me know how that goes for you," and got back in the car, that would have made just as much sense. Probably more sense, even, because we don't know anything about the Falcon.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about him.
Except for one scene where they try to, I guess, build his character by saying that he was at a Buddhist temple in Japan. And then nothing ever comes of that. Nothing ever comes of anything.
That's written and played as if it's comedy. It's not, but that's what they were going for. It's supposed to be funny that he wanted to be a Buddhist monk for a while until he realized that it was hard work and he decided not to.
The more we talk about it, the more I didn't like this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's garbage. Yeah. It's garbage. What else is there to say? If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written video reviews at DaleMaxfield.com. Thanks for watching.